Everyone. We are back and talking more about the life of Saint Francis. Um, all right, there we go. Um, so Francis has made this conversion. He's kind of moved toward living a life of holiness and one of poverty. So as we had talked about before, he is building the the chapel at San Damiano and he's rebuilding that because Jesus had told him, "Rebuild my church," which you'd see is falling down. So he finishes San Damiano. He looks around. He says, "What should I do next?" He sees a couple other chapels that need fixing, so he goes and fixes them. Now, over the course of the next couple of months, his friends decide that this makes a lot of sense. The sense of that the life that they had led before was empty and what Francis was talking about made a lot of sense to him. So their brotherhood of friends had become now this Franciscan brotherhood, and those friends are now even buried around him in the cathedral in the depths of the basement of the cathedral at in Assisi. So he establishes this order of brothers, and as they're doing their work, which is to take care of the poor and go and preach the gospel and to beg for food because their only focus is they wear these brown robes, these simple robes. And as they start to make their mark and inspire people, that young girl who is in the square watching all of this happen is inspired by this too. One of the she's one of the elite of Assisi, and her family is rich. She is beautiful. Her name is Clare, and Clare sees this mission that Francis is about and says, "I want to do this too." And so she approaches Francis and the brothers and says, "I want to join you. I want to be a part of this." And Francis is like, first of all, you're a girl, so go away. Second of all, you know, this is not something for just anybody. And she is like, nope, I'm committed. Now, her family was not happy about her going and talking to this guy. And, um, and she decides she wants to do this. And Francis kind of throws out something like, well, you know what? Cut your hair off, and maybe, that will prove that you are serious about that. And she's like, here's the scissors, let's go. And she does. She has Frances cut off her hair, and he's like, "Wow, I did not know you were that serious about it." And so he helps us. He helps her establish the second order of this movement known as the Poor Clares. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a minute. But they develop a very strong friendship, kind of this unique romantic relationship. It's not romantic. I think any of us, if we were to watch Francis and Claire together, we would say, "Come on, they're dating, right? They're together. That's clear." Except they weren't, and they had this unique relationship focused on love, but love in the sense that God is love, and they understood one another. They understood one another's passion for God and the that love in their hearts. And so, in a special way, those two kind of bookends to this experience that of what Franciscanism is. And so eventually Francis gives Claire the you know allows her to go to the chapel of San Damiano, and that is where her and her some of her her sisters and a number of women who join this group, this Poor Clares. That's where they kind of settle and work. Now the guys, they are at this Portuncola, and this is the name of the place where they stay, and in the Church of Our Lady, Queen of the Angels. Um, and extreme poverty is the hallmark of what they're doing, and this starts causing some kind of disharmony because Francis is very extreme, and he wants everyone, all the brothers, to live out the same way. You're talking about like no shoes in the winter, walking around in your bare feet, um, and just kind of he saw the sense that The body was not something to focus on, the spirit was. And so he lived where he did not even worry about the body and actually didn't care if he even got hurt in that sense, which was a little extreme, right? And some of the other brothers are like, well, we can still talk about Jesus and we can still live a life of poverty without having to like hurt ourselves. So there caused this disharmony in the group. At some point, Francis said, listen, let somebody else lead and I will just be one of the brothers, um, just because of this. Now, a couple other stories that are important that you would kind of want to know. First of all, he went to this town called Greccio, and Francis loved Christmas. And he was in this town and he had this idea. And so he went to the town and said, listen, I'm going to need a few things. I'm going to need to borrow a couple things. But on Christmas Eve, I'm going to come get you. And I want you to all have lights and and you'll come with me. So they said, sure. This is a preacher who wanders around and preaches in different towns. So they listened to Francis. And so Francis went away. And on Christmas Eve, he comes down to the town and calls everyone out, and they come out with their lanterns, and he leads them up into the mountains to a mountain cave. And in this cave, he had set up animals and a manger, and he had he celebrated mass. They celebrated mass there in the middle of this living nativity scene, and this was the first living nativity scene ever. And Francis establishes this, and the people were so it was so overwhelming and so powerful emotionally to Francis that Francis um, actually believed that he saw Jesus in the manger as a baby. um, Another interesting kind of myth about St. Francis is the famous Wolf of Gubbio, and you see that above me there. So the town of Gubbio was having a difficult time because a wolf had been coming into the town and stealing things and attacking people. And they went and they asked St. Francis, "Can you come and help us?" So Francis says yes, and he goes to Gubbio and and he says, "Okay, everybody stay inside, and as it's getting twilight, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to find this wolf." So he goes out and he finds this wolf and he has this conversation with the wolf. And he tells the wolf, "Listen, you are causing all kinds of stress and fear in this town. Instead, why don't you become part of the town? You can become a mascot for the town, and they'll gladly feed you and take care of you, and you don't have to attack them anymore." So then this is what happens. So the wolf comes to the town, and the people accept the wolf and feed it, and it becomes a part of the community. Now, this is really strange, right? Are you saying that Francis is talking to animals now, right? And they're talking back to him? Okay, so sure, that's how the story goes. But if you're asking me, maybe what I would say would be, is the wolf kind of a name for kind of a big, strong, like um, like a bad guy, like a convict who was not part of the community, and he would go in and attack the people and take their food, stuff like that? Could that have been the case? And that Francis going out and speaking with this man who maybe was nicknamed the Wolf, um, and reconciled them with the town? I could see that possibly happen. But the Wolf of Gubbio is pretty famous. So Francis, at one point, and this is in the middle of the time of the Crusades, and Francis decides that he is going to go out and he's going to go to the Holy Land, which was in the Muslim control at the time. And we will talk about that next time.